come now in our study to the reign of Hezekiah, the 13th king of the southern kingdom of Judah. This is Digging for Scriptural Gems, and we're studying 2 Kings chapter 18, verses 1 to 16. Thanks for joining us. As is the custom of the author of the book of 2 Kings, namely, we believe the prophet Jeremiah, we are once again told that this king of Judah became king in the third year of Hoshea, the king of Israel in the north. Hezekiah was the son of Ahaz, who was an evil king, and he was Judah's 12th king. Now his son takes over. He was just 25 when he took the throne. He reigned for 29 years. His mom's name was Abijah, or Abi, the daughter of Zechariah. This was not the same Zechariah who it is believed was the author of the book of Zechariah, the 11th of the 12 minor prophets. He lived centuries later. Neither was it the Zechariah who was the father of John the Baptist that we read about in the New Testament. Anyway, Hezekiah did right in the sight of the Lord and followed the footsteps of David in this regard, including the removal of the high places and the Asherah poles. He also broke in pieces the bronze serpent that Moses had made. We'll say more about that in a minute. He did this because until this time, the Israelites burnt incense to it, naming it Nehushtan. In Hebrew, the name sounds like the phrase meaning bronze serpent. Verse 5 says there was no king in Judah who trusted God as much as this one did, either before him or after him. Verse 6 says he clung to the Lord. Now verse 7 says God was with him, and Hezekiah was able to stand up to the king of Assyria, and he defeated the Philistines. In his fourth year, the Assyrian king Shalmaneser came and attacked Samaria in the northern kingdom of Israel and took many into exile, capturing Samaria fully in Hezekiah's 6th year. Then in Hezekiah's 14th year, the Assyrian king turned his attention to Judah in the south and came out against Judah's fortified cities and seized them. Hezekiah now writes to him and says, quote, "I have done wrong, withdraw from me, whatever you impose on me I will bear." So Shalmaneser requires of him 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. And Hezekiah gave him all the silver found in the place and in the Lord's house. Verse 16 says that Hezekiah even cut off the gold from the doors of the temple, which he himself had overlaid there, and gave it to the king of Assyria. Let's stop there and dig deeper. Let's start with the bronze serpent. Numbers chapter 21, verses 1 to 9, describes how during a time of a plague of fiery serpents upon the whole nation, Moses made a bronze serpent for the nation to look upon, and by so doing to be spared death from the snake bites. This statement in 2 Kings tells us that this particular bronze serpent had been preserved for more than 800 years and had come to be worshipped as Nehushtan. Hezekiah, in his zeal for the Lord, broke it into pieces, broke this bronze artifact into pieces, and put an end to the adulterous worship of this object. The bronze serpent was a wonderful thing. When the afflicted people of Israel looked upon it, they were saved. It was even a representation of Jesus Christ, as Jesus himself said in John 3:14-15. You can check that out there. At the same time, man could take something so good and so used by God and make a destructive idol out of it. Hezekiah saw it as that. We have similar tendencies today, don't we? We take good things and make them idols. Examples include, but are not limited to, leaders, education, human eloquence, customs and habits of ministry, and forms of worship. Be careful what you make an idol of. As I was studying this passage, I was perplexed. On the one hand, Hezekiah was the most obedient to God of the kings of Judah, before him and after him, according to our text. So how come he took all the silver and gold from the Lord's house and gave it to the king of Assyria? I tried to find an answer. I didn't have to look too far. The NAT gives a little different take on Hezekiah's admission to Shalmaneser. It has him saying, quote, "I have violated our treaty." Now that puts an entirely different twist on his rationale. If there was a treaty, even if set up by his predecessors, Hezekiah may have felt bound to abide by it. In this case, it was all about him recognizing that he had denied Assyria the usual annual tribute that had been agreed to. Even today, that is perhaps one of the few distinctions between a good and a bad leader of a nation. In fact, the Republicans and the Democrats in the American Congress fight regularly over that kind of thing. Did the present president respect international law, or didn't he? Good questions. In our passage, a godly king decides, perhaps because Assyria was coming down hard on him, that he had to follow the terms of the treaty between Judah and Assyria. But we would be amiss if we didn't point out that Hezekiah also held Shalmaneser to the terms of the so-called treaty that he had agreed to. He had to pull his troops out from Judah. Next, the mention of Lachish in verse 14 is important to historians and archaeologists. The British Museum displays the Assyrian carvings depicting the siege of the city of Lachish, which was an important fortress city of Judah. Lachish was 30 miles southwest of Jerusalem. David Gusick saw Hezekiah's actions here as a clear, though understandable, lack of faith on his part. He felt it was wiser to pay off the Assyrian king and become his subject than it was to trust God to defend Judah against this mighty king. It's possible Hezekiah had seen Israel fall, his own fortified cities taken, and he also remembered his father Ahab's sin, thinking that God was not about to intervene on his behalf against Assyria. Rather than trust, he caved. He hoped his appeasement would make Judah safe. Sadly, he was wrong, and his policy only impoverished Judah and the temple and made the king of Assyria bolder than ever against Judah. I'm sure you can see the lesson there. But the story does not end there. Join us next time as we see how Assyria reacts. In the meantime, if you like what you hear, if you like what you see, please indicate that on the video you're watching. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Digging for Scriptural Gems. In the meantime, I would encourage you to keep on studying God's Word on your own.